Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel! Hey guys, so results day was yesterday, and I got all A's and A stars in my GCSEs. So, awesome stuff. Congratulations to everybody who got results. I know you all did incredibly well, and I'm really sorry to those who didn't do as well because of these recent changes. I really hope you can work everything out. Now, without further ado, I'm going to present to you guys my year 11 advice. I just wanted to talk to you guys about year 11 and just give you guys some advice on things I might have done differently, things that you can do to revise, so that you guys can ace your GCSEs as well. So the first thing I would suggest is don't stress about your GCSEs. Now I know that sounds so weird, but stressing will get you nowhere, and it really doesn't help you. So you have to think of your exams as a stepping stone. They're not the be-all and end-all of life. And you will not die if you don't pass them. Obviously, it's great for you to pass them. It's great for you to get good grades. But don't make it a life and death matter, because then you'll get really stressed and you won't be able to function because you'll be so stressed. And stress can have other problems, which I'm not going to go into. But don't give them that much weight. Like, revise, but do other things, like balance your priority list. Don't just have GCSEs on it, because that'll kill you. So yeah, I know everybody says, oh, GCSEs, but they're not actually that scary. Like, I know it's terrible. I'm dispelling every myth here, but GCSEs aren't as scary as you think that. For me, in my past experience, exam can be the most calming thing ever, because I know once I leave that door, I never have to look at the book again. So for me, it's like, whoa, a liberating process. But exams aren't that scary. Invigilators are generally quite nice, and if they're not, there are measures you can take to complain. But generally, exams should be a nice experience. You shouldn't be stressing. I'm not saying you won't feel nervous when you go to sit the exam and you won't feel worried. That just shows that you care. And if you don't feel nervous, that doesn't mean you don't care. You're either so confident because you really learnt your textbook, or you don't care. But as long as you do loads of past papers, you know what to expect. So there's no reason that you need to be nervous at all. Your exam is literally like your past papers. Take past papers. I will get onto that, but just take loads of past papers. Do that. That is your lifesaver. But exams are a couple of hours of quietness for you to show the examiner everything you've learned. I mean, if you put in so much hard work, you should want to show it off, That's what you want to do at the end of the day. So that's your opportunity to show off your knowledge, to shine like a star, and all that. And it can be fun, so don't worry about them as something that you might die during, because that's not the way they are. And most people tell you, oh, my GCSE exam was terrible. But in my personal experience, they were fine. So yeah, just don't stress. So my next thing would be start revising now. When I took my GCSEs, I was revising from June the year before. I kid you not, guys. I know this sounds like I'm being overly extra about GCSEs and stuff, but revise now. It just makes your life so much easier when you get to exams, because you're not relearning everything. You've sort of had everything going through your head. So by the time you get to December, which is a really critical time of revision, and I'll go into why in a minute. But when you get to December, you're not cramming to learn like everybody else, or when you get to March even, you're not relearning everything. You sort of have everything on your own, and you're just refreshing your memory. And that really helps you, especially during mocks and stuff. And this year has proven to everybody how important mocks are. Like, I revised really hard for my mocks, because as far as I was concerned, I needed good grades in my mocks. And I had no idea, obviously, that the pandemic was going to come, but I'm so happy that I revised that much on my mocks. So I'd say, hereafter, revise hard for your mocks, obviously, but just revise hard for any test. and stuff like that, and just, start revising early, get the stuff in your head, and really know your subject. Use time now to look around your subject at do wider reading. If you're doing, I don't know, maybe subjects that like sciences, or obviously English, you can't really do wider reading if you're doing English language, but you can. I mean, you can look more into grammar and stuff, but just generally research your subject. Get to know it, not in the GCSE sense, but also in a general sense. Especially subjects you like. And if subjects you don't like, I say subjects you like because you'll do better at them naturally. And if you've done that, that just boosts you. And subjects you don't like because you don't like them. And I'm not saying if you don't like a subject, you won't do good at it, because you still can. But you're less likely to be as motivated or as energetic or as willing to retain the information. So that also helps in that arena. But yeah, so coming to revising, I think the time between December and February, for me, during my revision time, was the most crucial, or December and January. Mostly the Christmas holiday, so December. But I had a friend, and he got all nines in his GCSEs. And I asked him, what did you do? And he told me that during December period, he looked at all his subjects, and then he saw, oh, okay, this subject and this subject are the worst too. And he spent the entire Christmas holiday really working hard on those subjects and revising them. So when I got to December, I looked at all my subjects and I saw, okay, so English literature, which is one of my worst subjects at the time, was the worst. I was getting C's in that. I was getting C's, B's, and C's and B's aren't bad grades, but for me personally, yeah. So I thought, okay, I can't have this. I don't want to see. So I went and I spent the entire Christmas holiday mostly focusing on English literature. And by the end of the Christmas holidays, I'd raised my English literature grade from a C to a 7. And in my final mock before pandemic killed GCSEs, I got an 8. So revision does help a lot. And it was so much easier to do that then than to have been doing it if I'd taken my GCSEs in March, which wouldn't have given me as much time. I think if I had taken my exam, I could have improved my grade even more. Obviously, I didn't. But I would have had the time to be able to improve my grade even more and get to know my subject even more and all that jazz. If I'd done it in March or April or May, I would have taken the exam by then. But March or April, I wouldn't have had as much time to get to know my subject and to grow in that subject. So I definitely say when you get to that time period, really look at all your subjects, look at the ones that you focus on. And when I say focus, I don't mean drop the other ones. I noticed that I loved biology, and I would spend loads of time revising it. And what I did in the end was I reduced the amount of time I spent revising biology a little bit. I'm not saying if you revise 4 hours every day, you reduce it to 1 and you spend the other 3. No. You still give that subject you a good amount of time. But use more time. Spend more time on the difficult one. And I'm homeschooled, so I don't know how easy that is to do with school. And obviously everybody's on online school at the moment, so that's pretty weird. And we're all going back to school in September and whatever, and I don't know how it's going to be. But for me, I basically ran my own schedule. So as long as I wasn't in a class, I had classes during the day, and then in the evenings or in the mornings, I would revise. And so I just spent more time on English Lit. And I still kept the same amount of time because you don't want your grade in your good subject to go down. And somebody might say, but it's easy to get it back up then. But it is seriously not easy to get your grades back up when they go down. And it's also incredibly disheartening, and it's scary because I can't talk. The scary thing is because it's so disheartening, it demotivates you and you might not get back up as well because of that. So, yeah. Anyway, that's enough on that. Number 3 is to do with friends and social media and gadgets and all that stuff. So basically your friends are going to be there when you finish your GCSEs, and if they're not there when you finish your GCSEs, you will make new friends. I'm not saying, now listen to me carefully, I'm not saying that friendship is so invaluable that you can afford to throw it away and you'll make new friends, because it's really not. It's something incredibly special, and it's incredibly valuable, probably one of the most valuable things on earth, because humans are sociable beings, and finding trustworthy people is so difficult. But we're not talking about friendship, so yeah. But your friends, if your friends are your true friends, they will want the best for you during your GCSEs. And if you're revising, they should respect that. I'm not saying everybody will understand, because I had friends who didn't understand why I was revising so much. It's not that they didn't want the best for me, they just genuinely did not understand why I was revising so much. But on the whole, you should be able to come to some kind of understanding with your friends. And you might not, it doesn't work for everybody. But I would say for the majority of people, you should be able to get to a point where they understand this is important to you, you're working for this, and they respect the fact that you're working, and they leave you to study. You know, very, very nice friends will leave you to study. Other friends will continue talking to you anyway, and you have to know your boundaries and be like, I love to talk to you, but I need to study. So don't get distracted by your friends, because they will be studying. They will be studying like crazy. So even though you might not see it, most of them will be. I know there's always a friend who's not, or whatever, but most of your friends will be, even if they don't say anything about it. They will be studying so hard, because GCSE is about into them too, and they just don't want anyone else to see it. Well, they just don't talk about it. So I would say, when it's time to study, put on your do not disturb on your phone and focus. And GCSEs are such a short amount of time. They don't last forever. When you're in it, it's intense. It's really intense. It can be difficult. But when you're out of it, you'll be so glad you were intense when you were in it, because there's nothing worse than, and I know this from experience, there's nothing worse than leaving an exam and thinking, I didn't do my best, or I could have revised more for that. And it's a feeling I felt once, and I never want to feel again, and I never have. So, when you're revising, love your friends to death, but make sure that they have their time, and your revision gets its time, and your revision gets enough time for you to do the best that you can, because ultimately, success is doing your best. And also be careful who you have as friends during your GCSEs. I'm not saying variety of friends is great. I champion variety, I champion diversity, and I'm not saying go and ditch your friends, but be careful who you talk with during your GCSE, especially as you get close to the exam, because some people, as I said before, will not be revising, and they will be happy to take you off course. And some will, and they will be happy to take you off course. And they might be your friend, but they'll still do that. So just be careful. I would just say, give your friends like an allocated time, and then spend the rest of the time doing other stuff. That's the easiest way to avoid that. And before your exam, before you go into the exam room, don't talk to anybody. That sounds harsh, but it's seriously for like 5-10 minutes, at most 30 minutes maximum, and the damage that can be done in those 5 minutes is incredible. The second exam, I don't remember now. I took my first 4 exams spread out, and then I took the rest this year. So if I'm going the second, bear with me. But the second exam I took, I was talking to the kids before the exam, and they were talking about people dying in the exam room. You don't need that, If you're worried about your exam, you don't need that added stress. It might relieve some of you. I'm not saying talking to people doesn't help. But for me personally, and I would not advise you talk to people, because you might get that. You get people who are trying to psych you out, and that just doesn't help at all. And it's just better for you to focus on you and what you want to achieve, because it's such a short amount of time, and you'll have the rest of the day to talk to the people and the rest of forever to talk to the people, should they still be in your life. So seriously, for that time and the exam time, focus. Don't smart people during your exam, and don't be talking to people before exam. Just focus on what you need to put on the paper, what you need to remember, what you need to remember how to spell. I remember in geography we had this, and my geography friends, if you're watching this, you know which one I'm talking about. I'm not even going to try and say it. And I couldn't spell it. So I spent like weeks learning how to spell it, and before the exam, that was what was going through my head. And I saw people I knew, but I was still rehearsing this volcano. And afterwards, we all spoke, and it was great. So yeah. My next tip would be, it's okay to ask questions, even up until the last minute. One thing I really regret during my GCSEs was that I didn't ask as many questions as I should have. I didn't want to be pinpointed as somebody who didn't know, especially when we got to January, February time. and teachers begin to say stuff like, you should know this already. And for me, that was like, oh no, I should know this. And it made me feel really bad that I didn't, so I stopped asking questions. No, that is not the way to do things. You have a right to ask questions until the minute you go into the exam. And you, even if you should know it, and you don't ask, because there's nothing worse than you not asking, and then you go into the exam and it's on the paper. And you could have asked a teacher and then tell you that, and you live through it and you pass the paper and get a really good grade, or you don't and you don't get a good grade. So seriously, ask questions. Your teachers are there for you to ask them questions. That is their job, to be questioned, sort of, and to teach you as well. And yeah, it's just so important that you understand things, especially during any exam. You need to understand. Your priority is to ask questions and to understand. So ask questions. That's all. So yeah, I think the last thing I'm gonna say about GCSEs, I could go on for ages, but I don't want to bore you guys. I know you guys have places to go, revision to do. My last piece of advice would be have a life. I think my biggest mistake during my GCSEs, besides getting overly distracted by my friends, was that I didn't have a life. I spent so much time revising, but I didn't do anything but revise, besides obviously play the cello, because I love my cello. During my GCSEs, it is so important for you to do other stuff. It is really bad for your mental health to just revise. You will get restless so fast. It's not funny, and it won't help. You will stress more. You need to have, I don't know, a hobby, something you do, something to take the edge, or something that gives you a break. Play tennis, go run. I don't know, start a book club. That's very easy to do, and it's really fun as well. Just have like other hobbies, enjoy yourself, reward yourself. After a long week of studying, don't be like, I should have studied more. If you put in a lot of work, go get an ice cream. Take a break, take a day off, go have a bubble bath. I don't know. Just enjoy life. Don't spend all your time studying, because at the end of the day, GCSEs are a stepping stone for you to get to the next level. And not everybody uses GCSEs as a stepping stone, and you don't need GCSEs to get to that stepping stone. If I'm honest, in my opinion, I think having GCSEs is the easiest way to go. But if you don't, it's not that your life is doomed. So bear that in mind. One last thing. Well, the most important point I could make in this video. There is a point when revising is not going to help you. I did say I'd talk about past papers, and I haven't. So real quickly, before I get to this most important point, do past papers. Do past papers like they are your food, because they get you used to the exam questions. And once you revise this stuff, if you know how, even if you haven't revised as much as you should have, if you know how to answer the questions on the paper, you'll be fine. So do past papers, get familiar with what the examiner wants from you, what information they're looking for, how you have to put it, and stuff like that. They will save you. You can only revise so much. After past papers, the most important point I could ever tell you guys is believe in yourself. I took GCSE geography, and I did not believe in myself, and I got a B. Now, B is not a bad grade, guys. B is a good grade. It's not bad, which I always find funny when people say that, because not bad, B, get it? But I know it's a terrible pun, sorry, but I didn't really think I would do well. I wanted to get an A, but I was worried that I wouldn't, and I didn't think I could, and I got a B. And then I took GCSE English a few months later, and I thought, I'm gonna get an A, And then I stopped and I thought, nah, I'm gonna get an A star. And I went into the exam with this crazy mindset that I was gonna get an A star. To me, I thought I was the most stupid person on the planet, thinking that I was going to get an A star. But, I just thought, let me just try this. Let me just go in and hope and believe, and hopefully things will go well. And I got an A star in my GCSE English. Now, you guys might think, oh, she's just smart. But I was getting D's in GCSE English to start off with, so let's not even go there. But I think there's a point when you can't revise anymore, and you can't do any more practice papers, and especially when you go into the exam room, you need to believe in yourself. That is what will take you from getting whatever you're getting at the moment to the grade you want. And if you're ready at the grade you want, You're doing good. You're doing good, mate. But you still need to believe in yourself, because if you don't and you get in there and you panic, your grade will go down. It's all about confidence, and you don't need to be a confident person, but have faith in yourself. You know you've put the work in at that point. There is no reason on earth for you to doubt yourself when you get into the exam room. And there is no reason that you don't deserve the highest grade at all. If you leave the paper empty, can't really argue, but you won't, because you would have revised. And mental blocks, panic attacks, all that, no. Be calm. This is not the end of the world, and if you think that it's not the end of the world, that will also help you be less nervous. If you believe in yourself and you know that you've put in the work to get the grade you want, it will also help you be less nervous. I'm not saying you won't be nervous, because I was. But, well, I was nervous for my first exam, but after that I never was. I think I've been nervous on subjects that I'm not as confident in, but I've always gone into exam thinking I will get the highest grade. Anything is possible. And always remember, anything is possible with God, even a little revision. I'm not saying pray and do the little revision, because that's just a bad idea as well. But even if you're not religious, just hear me out. Anything is possible with God. And if you don't want to think that way, think anything is possible with God. So yeah, that is it from me though. I know everyone here who's watching this video, who's taking exams, and it's not even just UCC, it's A-levels as well, or any exam, I know you have it in you to get the highest grade that is humanly possible. Everybody is intelligent, everybody is smart. Don't let anyone tell you you're not smart, because that's a lie. Everybody is smart. You might struggle with things, but it doesn't mean you're not smart. It just means they need to work at it. If you're doing bad in a class, which is another thing that I found in GCSEs, I'm wrapping up, I promise. But I thought that not doing well in the class meant I was dumb, and that's wrong. It's a lie. It's not. It just means that you need to work at that and get better at it. So yeah, I would definitely say you will all do well. I have faith in everyone, and yes, blessings. You will all be in my prayers when you take your GCSEs next year, and I'm sure you will all be amazing. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, go revise. Hey, share this with your other friends who are doing GCSEs. And I will see you all next week. Bye.